Hello, welcome back to BSLIVE. In this episode, I'm gonna further explore this Pixar USD or Universal Scene Description, and basically, um, I'm still trying to install the USD, like try to compile it to work on my computer. It actually works once, even though it doesn't work with the Hydra render engine. It works once and then it never works again. I don't know because I have multiple Python installed, and I've been trying to do it using what is it called, Anaconda installations, and then Anaconda is also giving a lot of really strange, weird issues. Um, like in this case, this is the error I've been getting when I'm trying to run the app. So I probably have multiple Pi site or Pi Qt or Qt. Anyhow, it's really weird and confusing to install USD, but it can be really straightforward if you have only a single Python installed, Python 2.7. On the other hand, Xcode 10 developer beta 4 has already been released, and that's actually allowing you to generate USDZ much easier. And when it's actually doing the conversion, what's really interesting is that we are now getting much more informations with the USDA, which is the USD ASCII that we can basically read. So this is, for example, this is an ALEMBIC that I converted into USDZ, and I'm getting this USDA, and it's got all this ALEMBIC information, even though the animation doesn't work yet for USDZ. So what's really interesting for me is that how we can use USD converter, which is if you just run the XC run USDZ converter, we get a lot more option now with the tagging here. So now the color map, normal map, emissive map, this actually will work. So far I've been trying with just a single objects and then a single material with a not so complicated texture, but you can have like a single objects with multiple materials or multiple objects with multiple material. So my idea is that if we manage to set up the USD with Blender, we can end up with something like a super Alembic. So that's the whole idea. I don't know if it's really correct or not, but USD allowing you to kind of flatten the 3D and everything into a single screen description. That's the idea, I think. And you can do that whether by building the USD setup itself, and maybe using their Python Python wrapper to do the whole thing. So ideally, there should be an add-on for Blender that's allowing you to export your 3D scenes. And then by doing that, you get like USD that you can kind of combine together into another USD. But for what we are doing for now is we are attacking it from different angle, and I'm using USDZ converter, and USDZ converter can convert OBJ, Alembic, and hopefully Blender. I don't know, one day maybe. So yeah, let's actually do something with Blender. I actually did something the other day. So let me open Blender. I'm using animation nodes to generate the USD conversion. So the whole idea is that I'll be running a lot of this XC run USDZ converter command with all these tags like color map, ambient occlusion map, or roughness map, etc. And I'll be testing a lot of different shader, texture, PBR. So there's a lot of PBR material that you can download for free, right? But you can also make yourself. Where's a good one? I think free PBR maybe not really giving what you want, but you can see some examples. So this one, I tried this one. It doesn't have like the download button, but you have some example there. basically some kind of material that you can source the ambient occlusions, metalness, all the color albedo, etc., etc., and then you put it together into a format that will work for what you are doing. In this case, I really want to do this AR stuff, like making it really easy. So yeah, this is the setup I have in animation nodes. The idea is like this: if we have like a, I'm gonna delete everything. If we have like a cube, for example, and I generate the UV, so this cube has UV, and I will export it as OBJ. It's just a simple OBJ, but you will see real soon. I'm gonna save it on the desktop as cube Y. So it's just a normal cube, and let's see if we have it on the desktop. So we have cube Y, OBJ, no material, nothing. But if we do this USDZ converter and we look at all the options, we can actually do we can add the material very quickly into the cube. And the way I do it with Blender is by using this command line tagger. So for our cube, for example, so we have the cube Y, and I'm gonna convert it into cube Y USDZ. And if I update this, we should have the cube Y updating here. If I plug this to the correct one, there we go. So now we have a single command line with all this tagging, etc., and it's pointing at this scuff plastic material. So I have this on the desktop. It's very messy at the moment, but I have where's my image? So there's movie image. Okay, so I have this scuff material, scuff plastic. Okay, there we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. This is my material, scuff plastic, and I want to assign all those into USDZ. I just copy this and then paste it into this guy right here. So from this guy, Command C, and then select all these, Command V, and I run the script. And if everything works correctly, I will be getting the USDZ with all the materials assigned properly. So that's the whole idea. In fact, I'll be also getting this USDA, which is related to the USD, and I have Sublime Text 3 here that can actually open it with all this syntax highlighting. So we get the cube. So the name of my object is cube. And we get the actual mesh. But what's interesting here is the materials. It's still called Stingray, but it's pointing into the color map, normal map, ambient occlusion, emissive I don't have, AO I don't have for this guy, but there's a metalness and roughness that's already been assigned based on this setup that I specified. So that's the whole idea, really. It's making everything much streamlined. If we are actually working inside the USD kind of pipeline, even though at this moment I'm really just playing around with the USDZ, but in the future, really, ideally, there should be some kind of add-on for Blender, and where we can just export as USD. So, and then after we export it as USD, we can then kind of look at it using USD View or USD CAD, whatever tools, other tools that Pixar provided us with. But let's say this is like a torus. right? The torus in my case, just a simple torus, and then I export it as obj. I'm gonna save it as, let me make it selection only, save it as torus y, export obj. Now the only thing I need to change here is just the torus. So because we are just only converting the obj into USDZ, but with all these materials, so if I run the script now, I should be getting torus y USDZ. Now this is the torus with all the material already assigned. It's really that simple, right? And if we ever want to change it into different material with different PBR, I think I have something else here, like this granite. I took it from free PBR. So this granite is of course something that I'm using here, but inside Blender we have a lot of more control with the image because I can change the size. By default 111 will give this kind of stretch look. So currently I don't know how to do it yet using the USDZ stuff, but I can change into the granite very easily here. I have another setup with the granite already been assigned, and all I need to do is just plug this into this guy, and then this is the torus. Okay, I will be using the torus y object, and the output is going to be torus y, and copy, paste into this guy, and run the script, and then very soon I will be getting torus y USDZ. Even though the texture is stretched, I need to scale the texture or something, change the mapping, but we got it. Like, this is becoming really streamlined, and this is augmented reality. This is like ready on the iOS. It's gonna be called AR Quick Look, and you just send it to, just airdrop it into iPhone or iPad. It will work for iOS 12. So this is exciting because this is gonna be the common stuff if you want to do it on iOS, just for a quick look. But in the grand scale, I don't know if USDZ is gonna be the format, but USD itself, the Pixar USD, is yeah, it's something that I'm still trying to understand. I'm not a technical person, but I just want it to work. What's really nice about USDZ is, of course, if you manage to get it to work, to manage to compile the USD, you can then start to try to convert your 3D assets. Like the shader itself is kind of understandable, starting with the USDZ converter. I'm starting to get it, but everything else, like maybe animation data or bones and all kind of stuff, the actual scenes, particles, etc. If we maybe one day being able to just export it as USD, and then it's gonna be nice. But what's interesting for me is that how Sketchfab, for example, Sketchfab and Unity able to import Blender as an asset or as like a prefab asset and then just simply use it. That's kind of really interesting. Ideally, I think Apple or Pixar will make some kind of ways so we can use USD and Blender very easily, because it's like Blender is really open source, and then USD as well. So USD should be able to take Blender and then convert it into USDZ or just another USD and then layer it into a single USD. So that's really the most ideal. The problem, of course, USD currently is everything is compiled for Python 2, and then Blender is using Python 3. I think that's the biggest thing that I could think of. I'm not really understand what's behind the scene, but I'm hoping that it will eventually kind of make sense together. And also, in a lot of pipeline, in whatever VR, AR, like in the big industry, they're using Maya, Houdini, and they're also using Katana for film productions. So USD is like maybe something that can unite all of this together. Maybe, I'm not sure. On the other hand, we have GLTF and GLB, so I don't know if that's really it's gonna be the future format, because GLTF supposed to be open, I think, but GLTF is, yeah, it works with the Kronos group, which I believe connected to Sublime or Substance Designer. So a lot of texture artists using Substance Designer to make PBR, and then there's like already GLTF, etc. But on the other hand, you have this Pixar stuff, USD, and Apple is using Metal, and then Metal is like a different kind of world. It's a really strange time at the moment. It's like everything start trying to blend, but then if you go toward one side, you're gonna end up killing the rest of the industry. I don't know. So ideally, this USDZ, USD stuff, AR should be so much easier for the artist anyway. So this is just one way I'm trying to understand the whole thing and try to make things very easy for Blender artists to do. Even though I'm using Apple, and it's not really it's not like open source kind of, it's not like Android kind of ecosystem. But anyhow, it's interesting, and if I manage to install the USD properly, then I will further explore it. Otherwise, I will just study the USDZ and study the USDA using the USDZ converter, and that's a good place to start, because the whole thing, this is much more logical if you try to do it. And here I'm actually what I've been running is I'm sending the commands into the terminal via Blender, and yeah, that seems to be kind of nice. You can of course run the command line, just copy paste from here, so that will work as well if I'm on the right folder, and then just paste. So can I paste it? Maybe right click and paste. Nope, Blender doesn't allow you to do that, or oh, there you go. XC run USDZ converter, and then all these tags, if I run it, it works. It generates the USDA that you can open using Sublime Text or at any text editor, and then you can just modify. If you ever need to change it, you can modify it, and then you run the USD converter once again, and then yeah, it's very easy. See, everything is nicely highlighted. If we ever need to change the texture, we can do it here, and we can look at how the whole thing is compiled together from the mesh, the actual shader, and then all these different textures. So this is how USDA, how powerful it is for a pipeline. Okay, I think that's pretty much I want to talk about. Maybe I can share this blend with you. It's actually really simple. I'm just using this string editor, animation nodes, just put things together, all these commands that I repeat often. But even with this, ideally it could be as simple as providing a folder with all the texture. So currently everything is really meshy on my desktop, but this is like everything is gonna be much more organized into, so for example, this granite texture should be inside a folder, and I should be whole library of PBR, and then at any time if I ever do like 3D assets, for example, a 3D assets with a lot of mesh, different part of mesh, I should be able to create PBR material very easily by sourcing the library, and then when it's ready, I just as simple as exporting it into USDZ or USD format. Okay, so that's what I want to share with you. Hopefully this is interesting. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.